Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, LLC, offers more value than any other good full-service real estate brokerage firm when it comes to the sale of your home. We offer at least 27 things that contribute to your home selling in the least amount of time at the highest price. To receive our free home selling pamphlet, email us at info@brooksanddavis.com or call 713-665-8329. We also assist people who want to purchase homes or who are interested in getting their real estate license. Visit us at www.brooksanddavis.com.
Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network. It's a pleasure being here with you this week. I'm your host, Ric Davis. I urge you to follow me on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Prime Real Estate Ric. And if you are interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, I urge you to stop by our website at brooksanddavis.com. It's a pleasure being here with you this week. I thank everyone for tuning in. To all of our viewers on YouTube and our listeners on iTunes and Google Play, thank you very much. If you have the opportunity, I urge everyone to subscribe to our podcast and leave a 5-star rating and a nice review. That helps us to monitor our outreach and how we're building our platform, so I thank you very much. We have a very special guest co-host this week. You've seen her as a guest on the Prime Real Estate Network, and I thank her so much for making time to host with me this week. She is not only a leader in the commercial real estate community. Here on behalf of Arvo Realty Advisors is our special guest host, Miss Tiffany Ryland. How are you, ma'am?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
It's a pleasure having you here with us
I'm
this week.
excited that Larry allowed me to come in and steal his shine for a week.
Oh, no, absolutely. If you keep showing up, he can take off a little bit more often. So thank you for making a little time for us.
Right. No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
And it's just been, you've been getting so much positive feedback from when you are a guest on our podcast that we couldn't think of anyone more apropos to have sit in for Larry than yourself. So thanks.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Now, this is a very exciting episode this week because this week we're going to have not only a friend of mine, business, professionally, and personally, but he's also one of the leading attorneys here in the greater Houston area. So for any new entrepreneurs, new real estate, or new business professionals, let's text them, tag them, let them know about this episode, because if you are new in the business community here in Houston and you are going to organize your business structure and you need legal advice or legal counsel to get those things accomplished, this episode is for you. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce to the Prime Real Estate Network audience, representing the law firm of Yates and Associates, Mr. Phillip J. Yates, attorney at law. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Ric, Tiffany. It's great to be here. So what was the word you just used for Tiffany? What she said is very apropos.
Apropos.
What does that even mean?
Tiffany, I study the analytics on our podcast a lot. And during the episode where Tiffany was our guest, we talked about commercial real estate and how ladies can get involved in that particular line of work if they maybe been stuck in residential real estate or maybe not even looked at commercial real estate as a possibility. So I think it was very inspirational for a lot of young business professionals who may have a real estate license but thought that they only could be geared towards residential. It was very enlightening. I've been getting nothing but positive feedback.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to be in good company, guys.
Oh, no, absolutely. And this is why I was super excited because, we have mutual friends and contacts and personally and business and professionally. So everyone was like, oh, you're going to have Mr. Yates on, so we got to make sure we tune in. So the reason why I think your advice today is invaluable is because I meet professionals all the time at networking mixers, during some professional events. And when you're getting started building a practice or a new business or a company, everything seems really daunting from an organizational standpoint. So if you could just let our audience know why having legal advice when you're forming your company or LLC is really, really important.
It's a good way to start this segment of this show, because I run to so many entrepreneurs by way of friends and different associations I'm a part of, and there's a lot of people who aspire to be entrepreneurs. And most entrepreneurs, they generally start with this dream or this idea, this concept on how they're going to make X amount of money in X amount of time. And it's almost like saying, I want this fancy car, and this is my dream car, and I know it's going to be this color, and it's going to go this fast, and it's worth this much, and it's going to get this much attention. Mm-hmm. But when you go to purchase that car, you'll know that from buying a car, there's certain things that are needed for safety. Right. There's certain things that are needed for assurance. There's certain things
reliability.
Comfort, reliability. I can go on and on in terms of the structural part of a vehicle that's needed in order for it to be able to drive off the lot and really ensure you the satisfaction that you want outside of that dream that you have. Right. And I kind of compare that to people when they start a business. Because if you don't really look at the structure that's needed in order to have that long-term success, then you're doomed. You're doomed to hit some kind of pitfall, some kind of roadblock years down the road. One, access to capital. Always start there because that's the bloodline of any business. And so when you're starting a business, you can come up with this idea and you can start making money just by going to your soft network early adopters, and they'll start giving you cash. But eventually you're going to need access to capital, whether it's through an investor or it's through a bank, right, or it's through an angel investor or a micro lender. And depending on how you set up your original structure, that's how serious they take you. So, for example, if you want to go to a loan, get a loan from a bank, well, if you just have a DBA, they're not even going to entertain you because you don't have you don't have anything that separates you to give you that protection from personal liability.
Right, exactly.
Founders agreement. So if you're trying to be the next big tech company and you go into some investors or some venture capital fund, they're going to look at they're going to say, do you have your operating agreements, or you have your founders agreements, or do you have a legal structure? Right. And if you tell them you don't, or you went on LegalZoom.com and all they did was give you a basic LLC, they're going to be able to read that and know that you don't know what you're doing, or you're not protected, so they're not going to invest their money in you. And that happens on any pathway you go trying to get access to capital. Others, when you're dealing with your partners. I tell everybody, if you have business partners, where no matter if your brother and sister or your husband, wife, your best friend. I had my mom work for me one time, and I had to fire her. So I know things can go bad.
Man.
Right. No, and it's funny that you bring that up, because in my experience as a business professional, what I've come to realize the importance of having legal advice when you formulate a company is because life, as you evolve throughout life, your life circumstances changes. There are some people become married. Mm-hmm. You may start off in a business partnership as a single individual, and throughout time of the partnership, your family could change, the structure could change. So those are the things that you want to take into account from the very beginning. Yeah. And with the help of your legal counsel or someone like yourself, you can build that into the agreement so that everyone's protected.
Absolutely. You want to have different clauses. You want to have things, dissolution clauses if one person decides they want to sell their share, so you can have buyout agreements. If somebody dies, and then does their wife come into their position, or what if somebody doesn't uphold their end of the bargain? You want to be able to identify the different duties that each member or each shareholder has in that business, and all that is outlined in your operating agreement. And it's things that, as an entrepreneur or a founder of a corporation, that's not your job to know. And I don't think you have enough time to know everything, all the nuances that come with the law. And if you do, then you probably should go to law school and become a lawyer versus whatever, that dream you're pursuing.
And I'm sure, Ms. Tiffany, you could talk about, from a commercial real estate standpoint, how important it is to have all your T's crossed and all your I's dotted, especially when entering into agreements, mm-hmm, or when you're even wanting to send out a letter of intent.
Yes. Because
you're dealing in such large numbers and such really, really big, important deals that every single step of the process has to be in accordance to what is your normal things that you see on a regular basis.
Absolutely. I mean, and we have in-house counsel, but from your perspective, how important do you think it is when you're starting a business? How important is it to involve someone on the front end?
It's extremely important, because you're dealing, even your idea is an asset. Mm-hmm. And so, you guys deal a lot in real estate. So that, one, you're dealing with some kind of property, mm-hmm, that has a value already attained to it. There's a value that's already it's already evaluated, and then you have a lien attached to it. So all that stuff has to have some kind of contract that governs that relationship. But even entrepreneurs who don't have an actual asset, their idea is intellectual property, and you want to be able to provide some kind of legal structure to protect that asset. So you need that from the very beginning. Otherwise, how can you monetize it?
Now, let me ask you. A lot of people can say, well, for that, I can get online. There's all kind of online services to get an attorney and, call Fiverr or pay $5 and get some legal advice. What is the differentiator? What makes you different? What makes you the go-to person as an attorney?
Right. I say it's for the profession. I don't want to be the go-to person, because a lot of times when I deal with people, I'll give them advice, and then you can take the advice, you become my client, or you don't.
Right. Absolutely.
But I'll tell you, that's what you need. You need somebody to sit across from you and explain. First, you got to be able to articulate what you're trying to accomplish, and then you want somebody to be able to tell you what you need to do to navigate the process. Because again, like Rick was just telling you about the letters of intents that you're going to need and the different contracts. I mean, everything's different based on whatever party you're entering into a relationship with, and you need somebody to say, okay, now that you're doing business with Phillip, well, you're going to need to have a lawyer fee agreement. Make sure you read over it. Make sure that the attorney signs it and you sign it. Make sure that they send you invoices, monthly invoices.
Right.
So that's one relationship. But then when I'm dealing with Tiffany, it's a commercial real estate agreement. So you may want to read through that fine document and make sure that whatever that build-out cost is already inside that agreement, or and other things that pertain to the business, and so on and so forth. So I don't think that going to a website you're going to get the human factor,
right?
The element where they can actually explain to you and then pivot when you have to, because as you mentioned, Rick, life's going to happen. So let's say you don't have X amount of money, or let's say you want to bring on a new partner. All these things cannot be anticipated by a
and
website.
From my experience, and let me know if you agree, Mr. Yates, is that there's a certain subtlety and nuance in business that when you're online and you're just filling out an information block, there is no subtlety, there is no nuance. And what happens online, I believe, is that they force you to work with someone where they look at you from a one-size-fits-all perspective.
Right.
Because they're dealing in such volume that they deal on averages. When someone is dealing with you face-to-face or over the phone, they're able to illustrate for you the small differences. It may be just like every other case you've had, except for one small detail. And those things are lost online. And you only get those things back when someone who's looking for a real estate agent meets with me personally. Because, of course, you can find a realtor online the same way.
Right.
But when they're asking you, oh, what is it that your family needs as far as a new home, you just fill in boxes. But when I meet with someone personally, we're able to talk about, well, maybe my mom may move in a year. We need enough backyard space because maybe we may need to add an add-on. Those type of things you can't put in online. So that's where I would think that having someone like you in their corner would be of an infinite benefit.
Well, not only that, I always tell people you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So when you're dealing with an automated process, which I love processes, I love technology, I love anything that can help you scale so that you can do more business. But they're only dealing with the output. So whatever our input rather. So if I only input what I know, how can they give me advice based on what I don't know? Versus it's my job every time I sign up a client, I have a duty to listen to them and give them the best advice. I mean, that is my only job, is to keep them out of harm's way, to protect them from liability. So for example, a lot of my clients, and especially in the real estate industry, they'll say, can I just get an LLC started? And I said, there's nothing wrong with a basic LLC. But I'll say there's also something called a series LLC that recent structure. Delaware had been doing it for some time, but Texas started doing it in 2009. And so I know that's something that can save you on cost, filing fees, and also it would just help you actually do better transactions, cleaner transactions by doing a series LLC. So I advise them. I know that most of my clients don't know that, but it's my job to educate them on that and then give them options. Same thing if I have somebody in criminal, same thing if I have somebody go to bankruptcy. I know they may be saying, I want this bankruptcy because I read it somewhere. This is what I'm supposed to have. But listen to them like, that's not the best route for you. You may want to just do a Chapter 11, reorganize, and then let's save the business, and then let's maybe do a personal on your 7, and then you can move forward so you still have your cash flow. But those are the things that we bring to the table as humans that, again, I love the systems, I love the automated processes, but again, you don't know what you don't know.
No, and it's super important that we really illustrate that point, because one of the reasons why that I didn't have to push to have you as a guest is that when Larry and I were discussing who we wanted to have for certain shows to discuss certain topics, the reason why I wanted you here for this particular topic is because I know for a fact that a foundation of your business is community outreach and public service. I've seen you give endless amounts of time, services, and advice for no money. No pay was involved, because you know this information from a legal perspective. There are certain communities in this area that are just totally underserved. So could you please speak to our audience about your community outreach initiatives and why public service is something that you've built your practice on?
Oh, man, that question is always hard to explain, just because I believe it's something I guess, it's built inside of me as a child. I mean, just growing up in A-Leaf, which A-Leaf is nowhere near South Park or Third Ward, but maybe some areas are. So I grew up watching half my friends decide if they want to be drug dealers, or you want to be a ball player, or you want to be a hip-hop star. And so I decided I wanted to go out sports, and then I went to college, and I met guys like you who inspired me to do something else. Y'all opened my doors, and then I had opportunities through my parents when I said, okay, I'm motivated to do something else besides play basketball. And then next thing you know, you got introduced to law, and then you get introduced to other organizations, then diversity, and then you meet people who aspire, tell you about this and this opportunity. But all that came from just somebody else pouring something else into me. Or I could have been like a lot of my friends who are locked up. They won't get out until they're 50-something. Or some of my friends that have been arrested so many times, they'll never, ever hold a professional license. Or some of my friends who still aspire to do things that may be a road to a dead end. So through that, I think I developed just this, I guess, appreciation for life, and I feel like I owe it to give back to people.
Wow.
And so that's why I do what I do. And I will say it does help out. I mean, with the practice that like I always tell people, my firm meets the community where they're at. I have my mentor who's essentially a law partner of mine. He's been practicing for over 40 plus years. And one of the things he doesn't brag about him working in the U.S. Senate. He doesn't brag about the international cases. Or he doesn't brag about being a JAG or being this and being that. He talks about all the people's homes we saved and all the people's businesses we saved, and people that they didn't have any money when they came to us, but we still gave them the best representation in the city, and we'll kick anybody's ass who's sitting across the courtroom from us, despite the fact this client just didn't have it, but we helped them get to the position where now they can do things for their family or their employees and so on and so forth. So I think that's the unique proposition that is built inside of me, is built inside of my firm. So when I do it at the Urban League, it's like I'm just doing what I love to do. I mean, so we've been doing that for about 7 years at the Entrepreneurship Center, the 100 Black Men, Lone Star Justice Alliance, where we're trying to help juvenile justice, Legal Women Voters, where we're trying to encourage civic engagement and duties. And so most of my times, the things I care about that I think gave me an opportunity, I try to give back.
And I don't want that to be undervalued. When we come back from a short break, would you mind if we discuss a little bit about your professional and education background, so that some of our viewers and listeners can understand how you've evolved to be Mr. Phillip Yates, attorney at law? Because I'm sure there's certain inspirations and people who motivated you throughout your journey. And if you wouldn't mind, let's go into that a little bit after the break.
Sure. All right.
Okay, thank you. We're going to break for a short message from our sponsor. I urge everyone to stay tuned to the Prime Real Estate Network. We'll be right back.
Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, LLC, offers more value than any other good full-service real estate brokerage firm when it comes to the sale of your home. We offer at least 27 things that contribute to your home selling in the least amount of time at the highest price. To receive our free home selling pamphlet, email us at info@brooksanddavis.com or call 713-665-8329. We also assist people who want to purchase homes or who are interested in getting their real estate license. Visit us at www.brooksanddavis.com.
Welcome back to the Prime Real Estate Network. I'm your host, Ric Davis. I urge everyone who doesn't follow me on social media, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Prime Real Estate Ric. As usual, for all your real estate needs, buying, selling, and investing, I urge everyone to stop by our website at brooksanddavis.com. If you request information, we will respond promptly and see what we can do to make sure your real estate dreams become a reality. This week, we have a special guest co-host. Here on behalf of Arvo Realty Advisors is Miss Tiffany Ryland. How you doing this week, Tiffany?
I'm good. I'm really happy to be here. I'm getting a lot of good information here.
And no, I mean, the first segment was outstanding. I want to thank our guest, Mr. Phillip Yates of Yates Law and Associates. And Tiffany, I know before our break, me, you, and Mr. Yates were discussing his law practice, some of his community outreach, and I knew you had some questions for Mr. Yates, so please feel free.
Absolutely. So you left off talking about some of the role models and some of the influencers. What influenced you? Like, who told you, this is a career path that you should go down? What made you go down that path?
Man, influencers. It's always to start with my parents. I think they're my biggest influence.
Gotcha.
And I don't think they necessarily encouraged me to be an attorney, but they always gave me just encouragement that I can do anything I want to do. And so although I didn't make the best grades, I wasn't an A student like most of my classmates when I went to law school. Despite I wasn't the fastest on the basketball team and so on and so forth, but I just had really good parents that always said, you can do it. And I don't know, and I kind of hate that. I feel like my parents lied to me all my life. Like, hey, go on, little Peachy, you're smart. Like, so I started believing it.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. So I know now that anything I try to do, I can do it. And now I have the process mapped out as being an adult and having some W's on the board. I know how to get there. So I thank my parents for that. Outside of that, I think I break my life in different phases of people who influence me. And so I would say, throughout high school and it would be teammates and coaches. I mean, that's all I really did. I played basketball, and then I had those friends. But going to college, I was mentioning, Rick and Larry. And so, again, coming out of A-Leaf, you don't have a lot of black role models. I mean, I had my dad as far as males, and I was like, okay, that's Pops, and he does something that people like him, but he's just dad. Outside of that, I really didn't have a picture of a black male that wasn't Keem Olajuwon or my pastor. And, you had Lil J. You had, there's just different people who are out there. Oh, and Reginald Lewis. That was another one. Around the same time, I read a book called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? My mom gave me that book, and I read it from front to end, probably one of the first or few books I've read in pre-college from front to back. And here was an African-American male who's also a Kappa that went off to school and decided he wanted to become, something special. And he worked his way into Harvard. And then he got his, he had his MBA, he got his JD, and then he started his own law firm. And then he went out and started a holding company. Well, not coincidentally, I've tried to map my life around that. I went to college, got a law degree, got the MBA, got the JD. Started a law firm, and I'm working on launching a venture capital fund next year.
Wow.
But college, pivoting, and I'll try to answer that really quick. Rick and his entire line, they were all doing something professional. I mean, they all made great grades. They dressed well, they carried themselves well, they had a good time, and they were leaders on campus. And coming from where we come from, that was impressive to me. And so automatically I gravitated towards that, and I watched them, and I said, I'm going to do that. And it may not seem like a lot, and Rick may think I'm joking every time I say this, but for me, that helped mold my mind or shape my mind. I was like, damn, you can do something. And then you take on this path, and then it just built off of that. And then going to college, around the time my stepmother, she's a federal immigration judge. Oh, wow. And so, that's another person where, now you have somebody, you're exposed, and you can say, that's what a judge, you look like that, and you're a woman. And so she was another one who gave me just different doors. She opened up. Anytime I told her I'm going to do something, she at least pushed me there and exposed me. And then from there, I would say my wife. I would say
that's outstanding, right?
She's
That's awesome.
You're right.
Shout out to the wife.
Absolutely.
Chelsea Yates, who just gave birth to my second child, Phillip Jason Yates II. She's a phenomenal lady. But I always give her credit because I've achieved some success up to the point where I got married, but I was always in my own way. And it's almost like, you're running in quicksand. You're either from the partying and drinking, which I no longer really just don't do, to the women. I thought women were a priority where you had to do this, and or to not even just being focused on the goals that's in front of you. She changed all that and helped really just put me in line and put me in place and help me focus. So I credit her into this phase of life, and we'll see what the next chapter holds. But those are really my influencers. Outside of that, there's people I don't know, like the Reginald Lewises. I mean, the people I look up to, but those are the close people that I say I credit.
I got to ask you this question because, of course, we've known each other for nearly 20 years now. The thing that I want you to impress upon our viewers and listeners is that you don't have to go your whole life thinking, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
What can you give as far as advice to someone who may be in college right now, who 4th, 5th, 6th semester still really doesn't have an idea of where they want to go with this? Could you please dispel any notion that someone may have about law school, about why they think they can't make it, or law school may not be for them?
Right.
No, I'll say about life. If you fail, you can still succeed. I mean, I think the sooner you fail, the quicker you get to success, honestly.
Right.
I mean, I now when I talk to children, young people, or even I talk to some of my peers, I tell them I failed classes before. I failed out of programs before. But I never let that deter me. And now I know where I'm at in my career. I'm further along than some of the people who may have figured it out back in high school or in college. So I say all to say that, one, find what your passion is. And so if it's law, I knew law was my passion because I knew that was a way for me to solve some of society's problems, whether it was from my clients or from help changing the law or through community engagement. I knew this was the only tool that can help me do everything I enjoy doing. So now I'm doing that.
Right.
I think that's what people who are going through transition have to do, whether you're a young person or you're a person our age or it's even an older person who's going through transition. What is your passion? And then make it about solving that problem. And that's what it was for me. So no matter what obstacle was placed in front of me or what roadblock, I always knew that, okay, I want to solve that problem. So I found a way to get around it. And that's pretty much what my life story has been about.
And I have to say, you've been quite resilient. You know, just looking at your resume, one of the things I want to bring up is just the fact that you were having a nonprofit, you owned a farmer's insurance company, and you were pursuing your law degree all at one point. I mean, how did you juggle that? And at what point did you say, you know what, I want to focus on law?
Man, I was stupid, Tiffany. I was really stupid. I was young and naive, but I say that in a good way. Like, you have to be dumb as an entrepreneur at some point in the journey,
Right.
and then you have to show some humility.
Right.
And so, although I appreciate, the kind of gesture you're saying, the ambition there, because the ambition was there and the ambition's still there, because now I'm able to do it because I've learned how to manage all those different tasks in a more efficient manner. But then that was strictly ambition about what I wanted to accomplish. Okay, I want to generate enough revenue to be able to take care of myself, my family, and I'm going to be able to create jobs. And then the nonprofit was actually going back to A-Leaf. And so this is through that time I just got home from Houston, and the hurricanes that already hit. Remember, all the displaced people actually came to our community and took over certain areas. So I'm like, this is not the A-Leaf I left. I mean,
absolutely not.
Right. So I got with that who was that superintendent at the time? It was before HD. But I got with them, and I got with Rashard Lewis. Rob G was pretty popular about that time. And then a couple of my buddies I went to high school with, we all started an A-Leaf alumni group. And then that was a way to get people like us to go back and then help mentor students, raise money, give out scholarships. We're doing toy drives. And
I gotta ask you, no, seriously, because this is the thing.
That was in my spiel.
No, absolutely no, because
Phillip Yates is running for president and A-Leaf Texas.
No, and that's just it, because I want everyone who ever watches this episode or hears this podcast to know how to follow you on social media. Because I want everyone to keep up with your community outreach when you make public appearances. Is there anywhere in the near future where you'll be speaking, or is there a Thanksgiving food drive that you're working with? Because I want to give you that opportunity to pub any of those things, because it's been quite an undertaking being able to organize our schedules to be able to get you here in this chair today. So I want to thank you publicly for that. So please share with everyone how to contact you, how to follow you on social media, because I don't want this episode of the Prime Real Estate Network pod to be the last time that people are able to engage with Mr. Phillip Yates.
Absolutely. So a few things. Every Wednesday, for the most part, I'm at the Urban League hosting or facilitating a small business development university, which is It's our incubator for entrepreneurs who are in the startup and growth phase of their business. Also, we have the Small Business Exchange that will take place on December 15th. That will be at the United Way. I'll have some information that I'll share with you guys where you can. We'll be giving away up to $10,000 for anybody in the startup phase. In April, I'll be on the Tom Joyner cruise where I'll have do another speaking engagement there. And then other than that, wherever you guys need me to be.
No,
at.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have you back.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I want to thank our guest host this week, Miss Tiffany Ryland.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
You know you're welcome anytime. So thank you so very much. On behalf of the Prime Real Estate Network, I want to thank everyone for listening and tuning in this week. I urge you to subscribe to our page on YouTube, as also on iTunes and Google Play. So thank everyone. I look forward to seeing you all next week, and have a great time. And I look forward to talking to you all again. Thanks.
Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, LLC, offers more value than any other good full-service real estate brokerage firm when it comes to the sale of your home. We offer at least 27 things that contribute to your home selling in the least amount of time at the highest price. To receive our free home selling pamphlet, email us at info@brooksanddavis.com or call 713-665-8329. We also assist people who want to purchase homes or who are interested in getting their real estate license. Visit us at www.brooksanddavis.com.